How's it going, guys? Cracked Rack here. Today I'm going to tell the comedic tale of why I lost Potato of Awesome as a friend. Now, this is not an exposed video. I get asked probably once a day at this point from somebody, why aren't you friends with Potato of Awesome? Please tell us why. Make a video about it. So here you go. Potato of Awesome is a content creator who I have known for a very long time. I mean, we're talking like 10 years now. And we were friends a long time ago because we met through a mutual interest in the object show community. And we were like best friends. Now, how we met, I don't remember how exactly. I think we met through a mutual of Alchemist Area. And he reached out to me one night randomly. And I was like, oh, hey. And we hit it off. And it just became a regular thing. I actually couldn't tell you what year. But it was like the early 2010s, early to mid 2010s. And we started hanging out every night. It was a ritual. I would get home from school, because I was a kid, or whatever I was doing, and I would get on Skype. Yeah, Skype. Fucking Skype. And we would talk all night. Our friendship was very abnormal for 13-year-old standards, because while most kids sometimes talk to each other, and, they might hang out all the time, they might be over every day, me and Potato were like parasocially, because it was just through the internet, just talking to each other endlessly when we were kids. I mean, it was every night. And we just had so many mutual interests. I mean, he loved animating. I loved creating. We both had these ideals to become something someday. But there was a real issue, you see. Potato kind of got disturbed by me as time went on. And this is something that would never change. You see, I was friends with Alchemist Area at the time, who brought out the absolute fucking worst in me. And basically, I started just kind of gradually devolving into someone edgier and edgier. I went from a kid who would make fun of Johnny Test with him, and we'd talk about Johnny Test and, stuff like that, to I'd tell him stories about how I tried cocaine as a child. Our conversations took a gradual turn. They went from fun, lighthearted, soft, fun, we were just having fun, to pretty serious, intense conversations where I think I told him a story where once I masturbated on a yoga ball and came on it and then spread the semen around the yoga ball. I didn't actually do that. I did come on a yoga ball, but that's a different story. And it absolutely traumatized him. When I told him the story, the friendship changed forever. However, I did get him to animate for me. I convinced him to somehow animate a trailer called Becky Bucket the Movie. Becky Bucket was about a transgender, like, crack whore object show character who was just like Peter Griffin, pretty much. It was like Family Guy, kind of. Very much so like Family Guy. But much shittier. And he made this trailer of Becky Bucket smoking weed, pretty much. It got like 50,000 views, which is pretty impressive for back then. And it's weird to think about, but Potato of Awesome was ready to direct and animate my movie, which is just such an absurd plot nowadays. But anyways, time goes by, and he starts to dislike me. It goes from warm, happy chats to cold, distant stillness, and this is a pattern that repeated itself later on. He just became very cold towards me and was very critical, but we were little kids, so I didn't really care, and he blocked me. I don't remember what the killing blow was, but that's all there was to it at the time. Well, years passed, and I mean years. I was in like 7th or 8th grade when this started, and by the time that we got in contact again, it was years later. I had dropped out of high school. I had moved numerous times. I had, been through numerous jobs. I mean, I had a lot of life experience compared to back then, so I was pretty much a completely different person. And I hadn't even thought about Potato in years. I could have completely cared less about him at the time, but I started to expose Alchemist Area. And you can go read the Alchemist Area article or watch my video on it. Just type in Alchemist Area. He's a kid who, turned into, wannabe Jared Fogle. It's a weird story. I was exposing him, which was a shitty thing to do. I had no right being a vigilante hunter, in my opinion. It ruined his life completely. For some reason, Potato of Awesome got wind of this. And he reached out to me. It was 2 in the morning, 2016, 2017. And he was like, what's up? And I was like, oh shit, what's up? I haven't talked to you in years. And immediately we just kicked it off again. It's like the past was forgotten. We had fun every night. We were making jokes every night. We were calling. It was an every night thing. I mean, for 2 years, we would hang out, talk about all the trends, talk about things we hated, laugh. It was actually kind of wholesome, but it would not last. At the time, and this was the first crack in the relationship, he had this girlfriend who was a fucking fat, stupid bitch. And I'm not talking about his current girlfriend. I would never call her that. She was this dumb bitch that was just so narcissistic. And she was like 400 fucking pounds, like a goddamn tub of butter. She was a fucking bitch. She was always complaining. She was always whining. She was just a bitch. Even thinking about it 7 years later makes my skin crawl. And I think the thing I hated the most about her was she made it so that there was her and potato time only. Now, that's perfectly fine for couples to do, but this woman, this 400-pound tub of fucking butter, was such a bitch. She just kept taking his time all the time. I could rarely even hang out with him, and it was just a real shitty time. And I hated her fucking guts. Oh, I hated her. And she hated me. It was mutual. And even though we had a great 2 years watching The Nostalgia Critic together, which is pretty much what we did, I started to kind of resent Potato a little bit because I was like, fuck, you're spending all this time on these goddamn e-whores. However, thankfully, she did something really fucked up. And I'm not going to say what, because that's not what this video is about. But she did some really fucked up stuff and ended up splitting with Potato. And at the time, because I was really naive, I was like, yes! Now I have my friend back! I was like, the bitch is dead! Woohoo! And for a short while, things were really good again. We would hang out every night, and this was like 2019, 2020, 2021. I found my first YouTube success with a dumb YouTube documentary, and it kind of just brought me and Potato close together because, you know, we were just talking about our projects. We were really excited kids at the time. However, some more cracks started to show. Even though we were having fun, you know, we'd watch the Spider-Man films, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films. We would watch all of these films together. Some more cracks showed, and those cracks were that we were clearly kind of resentful of each other. He would make negative comments about my YouTube content, which made me feel kind of insecure. He'd be like, your videos suck, or this is so cringe. And then I would say the same about his content. Maybe I was envious or something. I don't know. Maybe we were both envious. But I'd be like, oh, your movie sucks. 1 out of 10. And I was like, just don't take any offense to it, but your movie sucks. So thus kind of started a pissing match, a silent pissing match that was never really acknowledged, or never got to be fully realized anyways. And so, yeah, things were kind of good. There were some other red flags I was showing. I was kind of being needy. I wanted to call, like, every night. And he's like, we're not 16 anymore. I have things I got to do. And, you know, I just kind of became obsessive. And with him, he wouldn't let me make certain pieces of content. Now, I mean, yeah, I'm an adult. I have the choice to make it if I want to. But, like, if I would make certain types of content, he'd be like, oh, well, I'll just block you because he was, like, embarrassed or whatever. Which I thought was really annoying, and it was an unfortunate theme in our relationship that actually tanked my channel in a lot of ways, but we'll get into that. So, yeah, we were friends for a long time, and at this point, the pandemic happens, and that's when we were pretty much glued together. That sounds gay, but you know what I mean. We hung out every fucking night. Every night. Every day I'd go to work, I'd do everything I needed to do. At night, I could expect it as a ritual to talk to PotatoOfAwesome. There were days where we would talk for like 6 or 7 hours. However, I don't remember what year exactly it was. I think it was like 2021-ish. He got a new girlfriend. And this girl would pretty much be the downfall of everything. If you follow PotatoOfAwesome, which I doubt it, but if you do, you will know exactly who I'm talking about. She's pretty infamous in the community for some reason. So yeah, in the object show community, that is. Nothing important. And me and this woman hated each other pretty much instantly. I hated her because I could tell from the very beginning how serious she was about Potato, and I hated that because I knew this meant that he was probably going to not be around, and he was probably going to turn into a different person, which is pretty much what happened. This woman is, like, religious, and she was really critical, and she was kind of social justice-y, and we did not get along at all. We had a horrible friendship. I can't even believe it happened, honestly. Our conversations would be like, I'd be like, hi, and she'd be like, hello. And I'd be like, so, did you know that 50 sexual assaults take place in Libya every day? And she'd be like, I don't want to talk about sexual assault. I'd be like, what? Why not? And I'd fight for it. I'd be like, why don't you want to talk about it? Like, seriously, what the hell's wrong with you? And we were just so different. The conversations I had with her were so different from the ones I had with Potato. And it got to a point where she had a mental breakdown. She was like, stop telling me about this! I don't care! It is the worst part of my day! And because I was kind of emotionally immature at the time, this was like the breaking point. The friendship was already over. I was kind of just waiting for it to end. But they still gave me attention, and we still had some good times sometimes. So I was just like, fuck it. Fuck it. We can be friends. So I kept this horrible friendship on life support, basically. It got ran over by a semi-truck on life support, and I was saving it. Because I don't have many friends from the past, if any at all. He was like one of the only friends I had from the past, and I didn't want to lose the last relic of the past that I had. So I did fight for it, which was kind of delusional. Now, at the time, I made this web series called Lolcow Watch, which will always remind me of them from the rest of my life. And it was a web series about me, like, making fun of lolcows. I know, so original. But I was actually one of, like, the originators. Like, there were only a handful of YouTubers making comedic videos about lolcows. Rogue Internet Man and, like, 2 others were it. And it was a big thing. However, this was pretty much the killing blow for the relationship. They didn't like how much attention I was getting because they kept getting asked about me and associated with the negative things that I like to do, like getting fired from a restaurant for talking about dildos or whatever. And they started getting really uncomfortable. Not just with me, but with the content I made. Every time I said I was going to make content, it was like I told them I'm going to go shoot one of their family members. They were just frightened by all the chaos and all the drama, so they manipulated me into quitting. And I did, losing out on a lot of views, which was so dumb. And yes, they did manipulate me into doing that. However, I'm actually grateful for that because I'm so glad that I'm not completely associated with lolcows anymore. I used to be one and the same, in the same exact league and in the same exact, like, you know, entertainment sphere. And I hated it. I absolutely hated that time of my life. Fucking horrible, miserable time of my life. And I'm just not mad anymore about the videos because it has actually changed me for the better to not be making lolcow content. Thank fuck. At the time, I was extremely upset because, oh man, I was egotistical. So here are some criticisms of both me and them around this time. Me, at the time, I was very delusional. I thought everyone liked me. Everything was fine. I didn't think of any unexpected things that could possibly happen. I was very egomaniacal. I always talked about myself. And it just pissed off these guys very much. And I was pissed at them because they were kind of being snotty brats. I think they would actually agree with my analysis here. At the time, they were being kind of douchey, okay? It wasn't just me. They were acting like they were holier than thou. They acted like they were some popular cool kids league, and they were fucking not. They just animated objects with their dicks out. And I fucking just kind of started to hate them. They kept telling me what I could and couldn't do. They made fun of me behind my back. They would actually start bullying me behind my back. They were just manipulative, deceitful. It was very obvious to me, but they were acting like it wasn't. And I think this was in part because Potato started really hanging out with some snotty fucking brats. Like some snotty, poopy pants brats that just are little bitches. And they started turning him into an asshole. He started I wanted to punch him in the face at one point, but I'm not upset about it anymore. And at the same time, I was also an obnoxious asshole. Like the kind of guy to pierce his nose in the name of Chris Chan at home with a needle on video. So it was a disaster, and things got to a boiling point. One day, they were trying to tell me, like, the jokes I couldn't make. They were like, don't make any jokes about pedophilia or child porn. And they said it, like, very sternly. So I was like, okay, child porn. And he's like, what? And I was like, child porn, gonna have sex with some little kids right now. Which I've learned is just the fastest way to, you know, you want to cause chaos. There you go. And it made him extremely upset, I guess. He blocked me and stormed off like a big, angry, powerful baby. And then, I reached out to one of his friends, who was also one of my friends, and I was like, hey, where did the group chat we made go? Aren't you going to make a new one? Because, I wanted some attention and, let's be real, some narcissistic supply. And he was like, the chat's disbanded. Goodbye. I was like, what? And he blocked me. What's weird is they didn't all block me. His girlfriend did not block me, which I find weird. It's almost like she set the whole thing up so that I'd be forced to do what she wanted on her terms. That's my thought about it. I thought that was odd. So I sent her a message. I was like, hey, fuck you, bitch. You just shattered my heart into a million fucking pieces. And then I blocked her. And this is where the story gets kind of dark. I had a drinking problem for a short period. It was only for a couple months. I was drinking hard alcohol pretty much every day. And I had very low impulse control. And I saw Potato of Awesome on his channel. And I went nuts for like a good 2 weeks. I was just saying hate comments on him on his YouTube page. I'd be like, you are a fucking bitch. And your whole life is a fucking lie. And your girlfriend's a fucking liar. And I wouldn't stop. I just kept... I didn't do any, like, harassment. Like, that was it. I didn't do anything creepy. I was just drunk off my ass and screaming at him. So he had the option to block it. It would have been fine. But yeah, I was screaming at him, and eventually I went nuts. And I was joking. I was like, God, I just want to fucking kill you! And he took this seriously. And I don't know what he was gonna do. He, like, removed his profile picture. And, like, was he gonna leave the internet? I don't know. I hope not. But pretty much, I was just being a drunken psychopath. And I reached out later and I was like, hey, I'm sorry. I was being a drunken psychopath. That was horrible. And then I got really drunk again and I was like, fuck you. Fuck your fat bitch. Fuck you. And then I'd be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And then I'd do it again. And this lasted for like a month. Nothing came of it. He's fine. He's posting. Everything's good. And, yeah, I'm not proud of it. It was a dark moment, a dark time for me. And that's the story of my friendship with Potato of Awesome. I think another killing blow for the relationship, and it's not a relationship. That sounds like we're having gay fucking sex. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean by relationship. The killing blow was that I started to get really edgy. Just like in the past. I started, dyeing my hair, like fucking pink, and getting tattoos on my hand, and like making songs about fucking killing people, and songs about cocks and cum. And, like, I started writing books about fucking mass shootings. And even the FBI came over at one point. And it just all spooked him. He did not like it at all. He was a guy who wanted to watch a Disney film with his girlfriend, maybe have a shot of alcohol, and go to bed for work. That was, like, the kind of guy he was. And I was like, yeah, party! So that was a major contributing factor. We just kind of stopped relating. And, I'm making music and writing fucking torture porn. And like, getting screamed at to get murdered over it. And, like, he was just trying to animate a kid's movie. So it caused immediate strain and, honestly, some exploitation behavior from both me and him. So, yeah, that's the end of the story. I hope you enjoyed it. You now know the secrets of me, Alchemist Area, Potato of Awesome, and others. If you were to combine all the content together, you'd have a fucking feature